best in radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
You're listening to the Financial Survival Network. It's Kerry Lutz. And with us is Joe Messina of therealside.com. You just can't believe what's going on, can you, Joe?
Well, listen, my storage bill here, it costs me about $160 a month for my little storage container. I'm thinking about moving to New York, living on a street corner, and sending the bill over to the city because apparently they'll pay for my storage. God, you guys they're just amazing up there.
Yeah, hey, I'm not there anymore. I moved so I could get away from this kind of stuff. So in case you haven't heard, this woman, she had a bad stroke in 2006, and she was a hoarder, and the city is they paid over $200,000 to maintain 11 storage units for her, and it's costing the city $3,600 per month to keep her stuff. And there's a law that requires New York City to do this, and they spend $15 million per year storing homeless people's junk. And this is socialism at work.
They could buy a small, hotel place or what, I don't even know, but
a landfill,
a small home, a bunch of condos, whatever, and stick these people in there. And the government wants us to trust them with healthcare. Give me a break, right?
Well, they're so good at spending their money on other things, right?
I'd never heard about this law. When you brought this up, I was thinking,
me neither.
Come on, how many other cities do this? How many other states do this?
I'd venture to say that probably none of them do. But then again, you know what? Probably be wrong.
I think what is it? Seattle runs a close second to New York City, I think, in craziness. They were the ones that recently raised their minimum wage to $15.
Mm-hmm.
And they're finding the local restaurants are now finding two things happening. One is businesses has dropped off a bit because they've had to raise prices. Those big, bad, nasty restaurants, they want to make money. And so people have gone to the outskirts of town because it's not that hard to do there in Seattle and eat at some of the restaurants that just kind of skirt the edge of the city.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, of course, the minimum wage is proven to increase unemployment and to drive businesses out of business, because look, if you're a marginal company and you're barely making it as it is, all you need is to have your costs increased by a government edict, and that's just the thing that'll put you out of business. Now you could say, well, those businesses weren't making it anyway, so we need to, we only want successful businesses in our society. We don't want marginal ones, but that's all well and good. And then, the minimum wage is the same whether you're in New York City or you're in Tupelo, Mississippi. And I'd venture to say that the cost of living is a little higher in New York City than it is in Tupelo, Mississippi. So, and then in different industries and even in different neighborhoods. So maybe we need a minimum wage on every block in America. We need the government to go study it, and then they can set a minimum wage on every block in America, so then it'll all be fair, Joe, right?
Oh, God, the government just needs to go back to bed. It really what it boils down to. I mean, you got a bunch of guys sitting in Congress. Very few of them own any businesses or have owned businesses or run any businesses in the last, how long have most of them been there? 107 years? I mean, these guys move in when they get there. Talk about storage wars, right?
Yeah.
But they move in there and they lose all concept of reality with some of the things that they do and some of the things that they try to push. And Obama's not being honest either about this minimum wage thing. I think you and I talked about this a while back when he signed the minimum federal wage, which was $10.10 an hour, and he sat there with the pomp and circumstance and had all his buddies around him and all these pens to sign something that held very little reality. The 10.10 only applied as of January 15th. January 2015, and it only applied to new contractors coming on board. So the people that are already working, the contractors already there, could stay with the regular minimum wage. So he did absolutely nothing.
Oh yeah, and it's you look at what's happening with McDonald's. Their profits are down. So what are they going to do? They're going to go and they're going to hire a bunch of kiosks, and then they're going to hire a bunch of automated burger flippers. And then when you drive up to the drive-up window in McDonald's and you think you're talking to somebody in the actual building, no, there's actually a call center in some place with very low labor rates. And right now they're getting paid perhaps minimum wage, maybe a little bit more. But if the minimum wage goes up too high, that call center, due to the miracle of voice over IP and, computers and fiber optics, will be in Mumbai, and that person will take your order and they'll forward it right back to that restaurant, and the automated burger flipper and the automated shake machine and the robot will put it in a bag, and it will be untouched by human hands.
Think about how many times you call for tech support on other issues, and it goes to other areas of the world where they don't understand the nuances, they don't understand the language really. Can you imagine what you're going to get for a hamburger? What's going to be on your hamburger? What's going to be in your shake?
Jeez, it's absurd, and this is why the government needs to keep out of all this stuff. And hey, whatever happens in the upcoming election here, I mean, what's your feeling on the upcoming election, Joe?
I am so concerned about the fact that we had this thing to a big degree. I'm looking at some of the numbers tightening up on the Senate races and what have you, which means we're not, and I shouldn't say we, because there's nothing to do with we. The Republicans are not getting their message out as they should. Mm-hmm. They're not standing up for the things that they should. Look, we've got an election coming up that there'll be a total of 39 gubernatorial seats up, right? 15 Democrats, 23 Republicans. Right now, a majority of the states that are doing well, I hate to say it this way, but are run by Republicans, period.
Yeah.
And
it's coincidence, pure coincidence.
Yeah, right. I mean, the principles that the Republicans run by, especially when you talk about running government, are good for government. They're good for people. Mm-hmm. But we don't tout what our wins are. Mm-hmm. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And what else we got? We got all the congressional seats up.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. As far as the Senate seats go, man, what are there? There's 35 of those seats are up.
Yeah.
And these guys need to be pounding on the failed, the failed things that Obama has put up there, and they need to stay on that and stay on it and stay on it, and they're not doing it. Mm-hmm. Listen. I did this piece on my show last week about how when you look at the 2012 election when the president won, there were a lot of things coming into the election that were hidden, held back, not talked about. Benghazi being one of them. I went back and did some research. We had 32 weeks where the numbers had been massaged on unemployment, the GDP had been played with. It all had been fixed after the election. The numbers had been changed again, and now we're coming into this election where it's a good chance we could take the Senate. And what's happening again? You've got the unemployment numbers. Wow, 5.9% a couple of weeks ago was reported. Right. I tore that one up big time.
That's fraudulent.
Oh, big time. When you actually put the numbers down first and put them in front of people first, you can't get to 5.9% no matter how much you cheat. And you're looking at the Benghazi reports now that are out that won't make it till after after the election. You've got the medical premiums that they know what they are now. They know what they are today. They're already in the system. However, they will not start to show up until about November 15th on the Obamacare websites. The Attorney General won't be named again till after the election, or not so much named, or he won't even put out who he's considering. So you've got all these things that are Bergdahl's reported in, but it won't be talked about till after the election. Isn't this the most transparent government or administration ever, according to Mr. Obama?
Yeah, that's what I heard. I read that somewhere. I think I read that in the New York Times, if I'm not mistaken, right? Isn't that New York Times?
God, it's just nuts.
Yeah.
And he believes it. He believes he's one of the best presidents since George Washington. He believes it.
Yeah, and George Washington did cut down the cherry tree too, if I remember correctly.
at least he finally told the truth about it. This guy can't find the truth with both hands. If you put it in a bag and hand it to him.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's all about. He's like a 17-year-old teenager who took your car out for the night. You got pictures of him getting out of the car, and he's going, "That's not me. I didn't do that."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and then you got this Ebola thing, which, no one is happy about. You got the, you got the whole immigration thing. Everyone's up in arms about that. And what else is going on here? Great. Huh?
Yeah. Oh, well, hey, listen, at least he keeps guys like you and me busy. I mean, that's the reality of it. Look at this. Let me ask if you've honed in on this thing that's happening in Houston with the mayor subpoenaing all the, I shouldn't say all, the 5 major churches in the area. She wants all their emails that have to do with, homosexuality or lesbianism and her and anything that they've written with their congregants and them. Mm-hmm. They want the sermons, the speeches, all that. And I say to myself, first of all, to show you how slow she is, most of those guys have their sermons up online. You can go grab any one of them. At any given point in time. And secondly, I don't care if you're religious or non-religious. You have to look at this and say, "Oh my God, this is the first step to them trying to take total control over speech and what people say."
Yeah, and what's this separation of church and state? It only goes one way.
For them, it only goes one way.
Like I thought that this government shall make pass no laws that abridge free speech or right to practice religion, First Amendment, something with that.
Yeah. Well, the bottom line was when a government official starts asking for your speeches and your sermons and what are you going to be talking about and that kind of thing, and they're using it as part of the human relations / hate speech ordinance that some of these towns are passing. Mm-hmm. And even at a federal level, there's going to be a test of a law where when it comes to churches or religious organizations, is the business part of the church. And when I say the business part, I'm talking about the accounting department, the people that take care of the day-to-day business. Yeah. Are they considered part of a religious organization? Mm-hmm. Can you be forced to hire in a church is forced to hire a gay or a lesbian, in those departments, in the accounting department, in the whatever department? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, up next, we're going to talk more about that, what you can be forced to do as a member of the clergy on the Financial Survival Network.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Every week, the show is growing. Would you like to be a part of it? Then go to clubfsn.com and help support us with $1, $2, $5, or $10 a month and get a host of premium content with newsletters dropped into your mailbox, free books, private audio clips, webinars, and much more. Then join clubfsn.com. If you want to get ahead of the trend and ensure your family's financial security before it's too late, go to clubfsn.com and sign up.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
And you're listening to the Financial Survival Network. In case you just stopped by, we are talking to realside.com's Joe Messina and religious freedom. Can they force you to do a homosexual service if you're a member of the clergy? It sounds like they're going to try. And and all of this. And hey, by the way, there was a noteworthy event that occurred in New York City. They should have dropped the ball in Times Square and given free champagne to every man, woman, and child in New York City. They actually fired a teacher. Did you hear that?
Oh, my God. You know what?
Yeah.
Can we cut this interview short? I got to go buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't even matter what the guy did. I mean, I think he was doing ungodly acts in the classroom, and you don't even want to know what he did, because to actually get fired as a teacher in New York City, you have to do something so heinous that we can't even mention on a family show like this what you had to do to get fired.
Well, I think what happened in New York is that he started talking about how rational and sane and conservative values were.
Must have been.
He had a picture of Reagan on the wall and said, "Now this guy knew what he was doing."
Something.
And so one of the kids went home and said, "Hey, he was swearing and doing dirty things all day, pointing at Reagan." There you go.
Speaking in tongues or something. I don't know. You could be having inappropriate physical contact in a classroom during an assembly. This other guy, was saying that the student that she was his sex slave. He just got suspended without pay for 6 months, and finally retired on a medical disability. But this guy actually got fired, and I don't remember what he did, because it's like the rest of the story. It's like, doesn't matter what he did here. What he did had to have been so bad that it didn't matter.
Yeah, no, and again,
shocking.
For a teacher to get fired, you're right. It has to be to be really bad. And but anyway, I want to. You started to talk about the in Utah. Maybe it's Utah or Oregon. I can't remember which one. But we've got the couple that is being brought up on charges because they own. Both of them are ministers. They're ordained ministers with a Christian organization. And they started a wedding chapel, forever. Now, the wedding chapel, it's people, all denominations come in. It doesn't matter whether you're a Christian or not. They marry you because of what they believe to be the right thing to do. Now they're being charged with not hate crimes, but they're being told by the city, because of an ordinance, an equal opportunity ordinance, they have to marry gays and lesbians, or else they could go to jail, face fines, and go to jail.
Yeah.
So my argument is, and I've been saying this for a long time, and I love it when I post stories similar to this. The LGBTQ community just beats me up on the website, and now I've asked them. I've got crickets going on because I've said to them, "All right, I've said this was going to come, and you guys kept saying no, it would never happen. So where's your outrage? You promised me this wouldn't happen. Where's your outrage? Nothing."
Yeah.
See, that's why I say it's hypocritical the way they come at it, and nothing.
Yep.
So,
unbelievable. Same thing. Like if you don't want to make a wedding cake for a homosexual couple, then you're subject to sanctions for that too. So here, this guy here, the teacher, Jason Roberts, Bronx school teacher, who's fired in February for behavior that included warnings such as bullets are going to fly, making threats to shoot people, whistling into a student's ear, flipping the bird at a teacher, shouting obscenities, poor lessons, insubordination, and more. And, so you have to threaten to kill people effectively in order to get fired nowadays. And, I want to know what religious order you belong to, because I'm not so sure that would always be the case. You know what I mean? I just don't buy it. There's too many things going on that just make me nuts. We've got this Sergeant Tim Arisi today. I think it's his 205th day of captivity in a Mexican prison. Yeah,
the man's got PTSD, and I'd ask everybody not to forget about him, whether you think something else is there or not. I mean, he's not getting his medication. He's not getting the help that he needs. It's awful in so many ways.
Yep. No, you got that right. Terrible thing. And, it's, how they justify doing nothing for this guy.
Oh, no. The State Department says that they're working closely with the Mexican government, although I don't know which Mexican government they're working with, frankly. And they said that they have been up to visit him 11 times. His mother says that they must have gone to the wrong cell because they haven't seen him at all.
Really? Maybe they could get the dog there to get him out, huh?
But again, it goes back to this administration. They don't do any. The truth is something that they have a really hard time finding.
No, they're somewhat divorced from the truth here. The truth, government, the first casualty of government, Joe, is the truth. And the second is your freedom, and you can go down the road from there. And you get to the point we're at now, and basically they just want to confiscate your wealth and anything that you've worked hard to accumulate over your lifetime. And you got to take steps to try to hold on to what you've gotten, which is why we recommend precious metals. And lately we've come around to diamonds. We've got a guy who's been selling diamonds for 38 years, if you can believe it or not. He sells them cheaper than you can get them in New York City on 47th Street. His name's Joe Cloud. You can reach him at 800-247-2812. He is the best out there. I mean, 8% markup on diamonds, unheard of. And actually, Joe, it's the colored diamonds now that are really in demand, not the colorless ones. They have had a run up in value that you just can't believe. And well, gold and silver, precious metals gone down the past 3 years. Diamonds have continued to go up. It's remarkable. They totally blew past me, and I was somebody I thought I knew what I was doing here. But anyways,
I'm sure you do. We all get there. I spent over 20 years in the technology business, and there were always things move so quick, and there are more technologies being changed on a regular basis. I think it's very hard to keep up with that kind of thing. And I would think in your business it's the same way. There's so many different variations of precious metals and stones that you've got to look at a guy like you and say, okay, I need help with this. I don't have a clue as to where to start.
Yeah, well, it's getting harder. The government, your friend there, is always making life difficult for you and confusing the hell out of you. And you look at what happened to the market last week, got slammed, finally had the 10% correction. Well, that looks like it's over with. History in the making, but who knows what's going to happen next? You don't, which means strategy, get ready for anything, because with the guys who are running things like we were talking about, they're so competent that you just don't know what crazy thing look at the Ebola thing. I mean, don't you think they should have stopped all flights to the countries, the affected countries in question?
Does it really matter what we think because the president says we're wrong? Yeah. It's not all his cronies. I mean, how do you stop something from happening? You stop it from getting here to begin with. You don't go near it. That's how you stop from getting it. He's more worried about, well, what kind of message does it send? The message it sends, you moron, is that you want to protect your people. That's a terrible message to send, isn't it?
I think that's in the Constitution, to protect us from enemies within and without.
Yeah.
And,
this wouldn't have hurt us tremendously from a financial standpoint. This wouldn't have, I'll tell you what, why don't you send them through Guantanamo? How's that? You bring them in there, they have to stay there 21 days. If they're not thrown up at that point, then they can come back in to the country. I mean, find a different way to do it. But don't just act like there's nothing wrong, no precautions you can take. It's not right either.
How about Ellis Island? What was its original purpose, That's where my ancestors came through. So.
Yeah, mine did too, but I did not know. I thought that was more of a tracking station, if you would, to be able to document everybody. But I also heard there was a special place if they were sick. There was a special area they would send them to make sure they were going to be fine.
To quarantine them. Yeah. Do something, but just
no, you can't. Look, it's very hard to watch over people from the golf course. Apparently, his phone doesn't work well out there, so he doesn't want to be bothered with having to watch the phone, I guess.
The New York Daily News told him to get a grip on things, but they didn't. He thought they meant a better golf grip. Better grip on his clubs.
Yeah, on his clubs. Yeah. Well, and again, he really does give the impression. This is why, do you see him out campaigning with anybody really? Is anybody saying, I stand with Obama shoulder to shoulder? Anybody running for office? I don't think so.
I think What's her name?
You know?
Wendy Davis said he's welcome to campaign with her, but he didn't take her up on that offer too quick.
Well, yeah, she's a little. I think she's so far left that she's coming up on the right. I think I don't know, but she's. Think about some of the things that she stands for and the things that she's doing. She's making fun of a guy in a wheelchair. I mean, seriously,
that's a real recipe for political success. On that note, Joe, just tell us stations, how we find you, where you're at now.
If you hop on the website, therealside.com, you get stations, times. You can pick up my classic podcast, and you can read all the crazy stuff going on in the country. I've got it up there as well. Always a pleasure to be on with you. I appreciate the time you spend with me.
Hey, always. And, there's no shortage of crazy stuff going on in the country. That's for sure. And, hey, if you need to store a lot of property, you need to do it economically, just become homeless in New York City. And that's the way to do it.
I'm there with you.
All right. And go over to financialsurvivalnetwork.com, sign up for the newsletter, and check out all the news we got from dozens of different sources around the world. Joe, talk with you again soon. Be well.
Thank you.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.